Welcome to Empowered Whole Being TV and the Infinity Experience Project. Today we are so happy to have with us Brendan Murphy. Brendan is an author who has published this amazing book called The Grand Illusion. He's published book 1. Book 2 is in the works. I highly recommend this book if you haven't heard of it before. He's also a speaker, a transformation facilitator, a researcher. You'll figure that out after you read his book. He's a musician and a singer. Brendan, welcome and thank you for being with us today and your willingness to share your Infinity Experience moment with everyone. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Candace. It's an honor and a privilege to do it.
Yay. So let's just go right into your Infinity Experience. When did that happen? Where and how old were you? And what was the circumstance leading up to your Infinity Experience?
Well, basically it happened when I was about 19, 20. I think it was catalyzed by having previously read a book called The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot.
It's a very good book, by the way. I highly recommend it.
Yes. Completely blew my mind, and so the actual experience itself was I was just lying in bed waiting to nod off, and you know I wasn't having much luck getting to sleep, and at some point lying there I was just without any warning or sort of transitional mode I just experienced being infinite consciousness. So I became the entirety of existence, and I you know in those few moments or however long it was I experienced the feeling of planets and solar systems and being inside me in this sort of interesting sort of enfolded pre-manifestation sort of state. And my consciousness was this tiny sort of almost infinitely small pinpoint from a personal sort of perspective, but at the same time it was immersed in this ocean of infinite consciousness and completely integrated with it. So I could feel everything everywhere. I was everything everywhere, as well as being this pinpoint of individual awareness. So the analogy that I use is it's like being a molecule of water, a drop of water in the ocean, right. and simultaneously being aware of every other drop of the entire ocean at once, as well as your own individual perspective. The vastness is
that's exactly how I experience it as well. Exactly. And we each have our own words because in reality, I don't think there are words to amply, effectively express what that feels like. We dance around it. It never really quite hits the mark of how expansive that feels.
You can't convey it to someone. The only way they can know is to experience it themselves.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. So then you had this experience. Then what?
Well, that sort of crystallized the the sort of the intellectual awareness that books like The Holographic Universe had given me, which that was the book that sort of started everything off, and the experience itself was what clarified the reality of it, and just sort of I guess it crystallized my interest and my nascent passion for this kind of information and knowledge, and it really it was a perspective shift because it was an experiential basis for that knowledge. It gave me that experiential basis, and it put everything else in life, all the rest of life, into a bit of a different light, and that in the end ended up being the only kind of stuff that I was able to pursue with enthusiasm and dedication, and it was the only thing I ended up wanting to do was pursue that kind of research and information.
Exactly, it completely shifted your perspective.
It makes certain other things look kind of silly and trivial, which is what a lot of near-death experiences will say to you as well.
Exactly.
And without being, judgmental about it or whatever, it's just the pursuit of
it just shifts your perspective. That's all.
Anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the interest level of all those things was really, crystallized by that experience, and it just sent me down that path because I couldn't really bring myself to do anything else after that.
Yeah. Which led you to writing your articles and then your book, and you're still writing, and you're beginning to do speaking and do the things that you to facilitate reawakening for others as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole point of it, in the end, was to communicate what I was learning and experiencing to other people, so they could also, get there.
Which is the whole purpose of the Infinity Experience Project, is to create recording after recording after recording of every different kind of person and situation expressing and sharing their own personal infinity experience. So we can see that it's not something outside of us, it's there, inside, all the time waiting.
Yeah, it's like nature builds itself from within, because the ground of reality is within. That's where you go to find it and connect with it. It's internal, it's intrinsic, it's fundamental, it's immanent, however you want to put it. It's it's what you fundamentally are, and it's what reality and the universe fundamentally is before you have the world of phenomena and duality and up and down and left and right and
third and fourth dimension and all that.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to share or with people about this experience, and anything you could, not necessarily advice, but anything you'd like to make your last statement before we close our interview?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of experience is it's the root. This is the root of all of religion. This is Gnosis. It's not the root of Gnosticism. It's that direct knowingness that takes you out of the world of belief. It takes you out of the world of dogma and away from those things which are based on second-hand information.
Right.
So this gives you, this is knowledge, and that's what Gnosis means, knowledge. So it gives you knowledge, and it gives you the perspective to be able to distinguish between belief and knowledge. And you don't need a guru to do it. You don't need to go to church. You don't need a religion.
Yeah.
This is completely, this is non-dogma territory here. And it's within everybody, and it's everybody's birthright to access it. And you don't need to spend 30 or 40 years meditating. You don't need to perform bizarre rituals and whatever else. I mean, it's there. It happened to me completely by accident. So, I can tell you that you can bumble your way into reality and truth. And if you want to, like I took up meditating, after that, a little bit further down the line, and you can enter into these samadhi states, deliberately and consciously, and sustain them for minutes or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Guys, lots of practice can hold it for hours or whatever, but the point is that it's there and waiting for you, and this is reality. This is the ground of reality. This is where all the religions and philosophies come from, and what they're trying to get at, and have lost their way and can't get back there. But this is it. This is the basis.
Exactly. That's a perfect statement for the closure of our interview. Thank you, Brendan, and thank you so much for sharing your infinity experience with all of us and those who watch Empowered Whole Being TV. And we look forward to further interviews, and keep your ears out for Brendan's work. Check out his book, The Grand Illusion. And also, if he's speaking near you, I highly recommend going to his speech, because you'll get a lot out of it as well. So thank you so much. Namaste.
Thanks.